All right, boys, we finished up at the gym, finished up at the sauna session. Boogie has been napping all fucking day. Yeah, you think that shit's funny? I lost over several fucking $1 million in the past 2 days, Boogie. You think shit's sweet? Wag your tail if you think it's funny. Good. Can only imagine what you're down, Boogie. Yeah. You got anything to say? Oh, you think it's funny? You liquidated us, huh? You did that? You rug pulled us? Was it you, Boogie? That's what I fucking thought. Anyways, I'm going right now to film a trading transformation. Everybody was on my fucking head. Bro, look, y'all gotta understand. I made a trading transformation video. At this point in time, it's been 10 days ago. There's probably another one out now because I'm making one right now and I'm just gonna get posted. But bro, remember, the trading transformation, it's supposed to be sustainable for me, okay? I go to Arizona for my birthday. I wanna enjoy my birthday. I'm not gonna pull out my laptop and make a freaking trading transformation on my birthday weekend. And then I get out here and I have to focus on my mastermind students. I do all my mastermind classes and I'm busy. And y'all are getting on my head. Just give a brother a break, okay? Going to film a trading transformation right now. Y'all don't gotta trip about it. Remember, I said the goal with it is that I don't get burnt out. I'm not burnt out from the trading transformation, and that's the main goal, because with the boot camp, it was really hard to keep up with making videos every single day. With this, I can take my time and I can still provide you guys with free content, okay? That's what the shit's all about. All right, so I'm gonna get in here and make this damn video for y'all. All right, guys, so just finished up filming 2 trading transformation videos. And now we are going to go get dinner, and then after that, I'll probably give you guys a little yap attack because I didn't really talk to you guys much today. So first things first, we're gonna go to the little beach restaurant, grab some dinner, and then after that, I'll come back and yap my ass off to y'all, all right? Yeah, Boogie, you heard that. You heard that. Damn right, boy. All right, boys, quick little yap session for y'all. We're in the office, just finished looking at some crypto shit. As you guys know, the market fucking dumped, and what better of a time to talk about investments? So I talked to you guys about I guess being rich versus being wealthy in like the very first video of this stuff. Here, let me turn on this the sexy fucking light so I look good and shit. But hey, I want to talk about just overall investments and what diversification actually means. So a lot of people, again, we already talked about being rich versus being wealthy. Being wealthy means you own a bunch of assets that make you money in your free time or make you money while you sleep. No matter what you're doing, you don't have to do anything. Those assets are making you money. And assets can come in many different forms, okay? Whether it's you owning equity in a company, which in my eyes is probably one of the best assets possible. You guys owning a company where you don't do any work at all and you just have a bunch of employees that are consistently working for you and for the company. That makes you hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, a month, a day. Millions of dollars a day would be fucking awesome if you're, you know, manning a huge ass company. But that's one of my favorite assets is companies. And honestly, it's one of the, how do I even say this? One of the best assets that you can hold, because it takes a long time to build, and it's not necessarily just, hey, I can press buy on this one thing. I mean, eventually, when you have a shit ton of money, you can literally go and say, hey, I'm gonna buy your company, and then I'm gonna do a couple things to it to make me more money. I'm not at that point yet where I'm just like going up and buying companies straight up. Hopefully I get to that point one day. That would be my goal. But that is a huge one where you can literally create companies that eventually turn into well-oiled machines where you don't have to work for them, and you just have a bunch of people working for you, and you're just slumbering asleep while you get thousands of dollars deposited into your pockets daily. So we're getting into diversification today. So that's what I want to talk about. Diversification of your assets. So we talked about wealth before. We've talked about being rich. What does diversification mean? Because I feel like a lot of people think it just means, oh, we want to have a couple different stocks in our stock portfolio rather than just one stock. And that's so far from the case. We need to think of our entire asset portfolio as what you guys or what I kind of described as your stock portfolio. So instead of just thinking, oh, I need to diversify within stocks, you need to diversify within all assets combined. So if we think about that, what type of assets are there? Well, sorry, I got cut off. I got a phone call. But there are depreciating assets. There are assets that give you dividends. There are assets that are just super long-term. And then there's just like regular assets that are like fiat and are just stable. Okay, so we'll get into all of those, and we can get into how you can diversify yourself amongst all forms of assets. So we'll start with the ones that we don't necessarily care about, which are depreciating assets. You shouldn't necessarily want to be diversifying into depreciating assets, but we can still keep them in mind in terms of our asset portfolio because it makes up our asset portfolio. So depreciating assets, what does that include? Mainly just cars, really anything that you own that you could sell again, but at a cheaper price because it's used. So I think about, I don't know, even this freaking computer screen that's right in front of me. That could be considered a depreciating or a depreciated asset, but most of the time we're thinking on a much larger scale when we talk about that kind of stuff. So for me, it's mainly just like cars, and then honestly, I like to put watches in this category as well, because when I buy a watch, I'm not necessarily thinking, oh, it's gonna increase in value over time and I'm gonna be able to flip a profit. I'm not trying to make money on my watch purchases. I'm buying it just like how I buy a car, where I'm thinking, okay, this is a dumbass purchase, but it looks super cool and it's fun, so I'm going to buy it knowing that it's a dumb purchase. Anything that's a dumb purchase, I can put into the depreciating asset category. Okay, so for me, that's watches and cars. I honestly think that watches, they may appreciate in value. Fuck it, they might just barely beat inflation. But for everybody that says like, oh, it's an investment, like, come on, bro. Like, are you a watch dealer? Like, no, you want to buy the fucking watch because you think it looks cool as fuck. That's literally the only reason. So cars and watches, depreciating assets. Are they still assets? Yes, but are they kind of a lose-win situation? Yes. Moving forward to kind of stable assets, we can think of that as like a high-yield savings account. And you're probably thinking, well, a high-yield savings account, doesn't that get you a certain % return? Yeah, but again, we need to think about and include inflation. A high-yield savings account is literally built just to beat inflation. So like, in turn, if I put $1 into a high-yield savings account, or fuck it, let's say I put $100 into a high-yield savings account and I get a 5% APY, which is pretty much in inflation, like on average what inflation is per year. Okay, by the end of the year, I'll have $105 in that savings account, but those $105 will be worth the same amount that $100 was at the start of the year. So essentially, it's pretty fucking stable. And what I like to do is I like to have a year's worth of living expenses inside of a high yield savings account or multiple high yield savings account, because only 250K is FDIC insured. So make sure that all your money is insured and you can't get fucking jugged from the bank. But anyways, you get what I'm saying. I want at least a year's worth of full lifestyle living expenses completely covered, completely able to be covered inside a high yield savings account, because for me, that gives me the safety and the thought process of being like, okay, if everything goes to shit, if everything goes horribly, then and all my income stops, then I can live the same exact way that I'm living currently for a full year for me to eventually get myself back on track, sell potentially some of my appreciating assets or my depreciating assets so I can figure my shit out. But essentially, I consider that my safety net, my stable assets. And I don't really put anything else within that stable asset category. It's really just high yield savings. Okay, and now moving on to appreciating assets. These are probably the ones that you guys care about the most. Okay, this is going to be your stock portfolio. Okay, and I mean, fuck it, we'll get into it first. So stocks, okay, stocks are really awesome. Okay, you're pretty much, it's essentially that company thing that I just said, but on a much smaller scale. So you're paying a certain amount of money to own a certain amount of a company. Okay, so let's say I think Apple is a really awesome company and I think it's going to be around for a long, long time. I'm going to put $100,000 into Apple, and because of that, because I think it's a really awesome company, those stocks and the company itself is going to work for me where I don't have to do anything because it's already a well-oiled machine, and I think its value is going to increase over the next 10, 20, 30 years, okay? That's what stocks is, okay? Again, we're not trying to day trade this shit. We are just trying to have time in the market rather than timing the market. So if I see the market right now, I'm not even like I'm barely ever looking at the fucking price for my stocks. I'm literally just being like, okay, do I think Apple, or do I think Microsoft, do I think Google, do I think fucking Nvidia is going to be around for another 10, 20, 30 years? And do I think it's a company with high upside that will continue to scale, that will continue doing better and better and better over a long period of time? Yes, cool, I'll put money into it. And then moving on from that, still within kind of the stock world, we have indexes, okay? So that includes the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones, okay? So these, I mean, everybody knows about these. These are like considered the safest investments within the stock, I guess, realm, okay? The S&P 500, when people say like, oh yeah, invest that money, most of the time they're just saying like, yeah, put your money into the S&P 500 and just go away, okay? Because the S&P 500 relatively consistently on average does around 9 to 10% each year. So that's one, beating inflation, and then two, giving you a 5% gain on top of that. It's like a high yield savings, but with a little extra boost, okay? So over a long period of time, you know, you're going to eventually have a pretty large gain back from that. So something that we want to put our money into, especially if it's slow and steady and relatively consistent over, you know, we've seen historical data on how consistent this is. Okay, and then moving on from that, we have bonds and treasuries. Okay, these are relatively similar to high yield savings as well. Okay, so relatively low returns, but again, can be sort of like an inflation killer at certain times. It can be even more optimal to be buying these, okay? I don't necessarily look too deep into that, but my wealth manager does all of that for me. So I allocate a certain percentage towards bonds and treasuries, and at the right time or as he sees fit, with like interest rates and all of that, he decides to put money into them. So boom, bonds and treasuries, definitely another good spot to diversify your full asset portfolio. Moving on from there, we have commodities. So that's like gold, silver, platinum, titanium, all the fucking minerals and shit, diamonds, whatever, emeralds, rubies, whatever the fuck. Okay, commodities, okay? These, for the most part, are appreciating assets. Gold has been going fucking crazy as of recently. It's been ripping past all-time highs. Gold, the supply is limited and the demand it's there consistently. It's there in jewelry, in products, and literally everything, okay? So there's a demand for gold and people are going to consistently want it, and it's limited in supply, okay? Same thing with silver, same thing with platinum, okay? Same thing with majority of commodities that are found on this earth, like fucking oil and stuff, okay? So Again, something that you guys can look into. I own a shit ton of real silver. Okay, that's another thing. If you guys are looking into buying commodities, you know, I would look into owning the actual real commodity. I don't know if you guys followed me way back when, or I could even go to the room in my house that has a couple silver bars in here. I have like, I don't know, a couple $1,000s worth of silver, just like actual bars. And then across the country in several different locations, I have safes with, you know, like close to tens of thousands of dollars worth of like real fucking silver bars. I think that the ROI on silver is just like slightly higher for gold. That's why I have it in silver, not in gold. It's just my opinion on it. But anyways, that's commodities. Another good fucking place to store your money. Moving on. We have real estate. Real estate's fucking awesome. I don't think about real estate like some other people do. I don't know. Everybody has their own opinions on real estate. For me, the way that I'm treating real estate and the way that I am going to continue to treat real estate, I will never have property managers. I will never try and turn real estate into a job, which is what I think a lot of people do. They're like, oh yeah, buy this duplex and then rent out the other room and then you're living rent free, whatever. That's like a full other job. And then you have to get a property manager, and then you have to help the property manager do shit. You have to send him shit. And then it's like, boom, you just created yourself a whole nother job. And it's like, I don't have time for a whole nother job right now. I have time for my jobs. So in my eyes, I see real estate more as like a fucking asset, a long-term thing that I just buy and I fucking hold. And over the course of time, the house and the land is going to increase in value, and that's how I treat it as. I don't treat it as like an active income type of thing where I'm getting dividends on it. I don't participate in any of that. If I buy a house, it is because I like the area, I like the location, and I'm going to be visiting it often. I'm going to be living in it. That's how I treat real estate. So eventually down the line, when I buy more houses, like I'll probably buy a house in Miami, or maybe even fucking buy an apartment in Miami. Right now I'm renting the spot. And yeah, I'll probably buy like vacation houses all over the world. But again, those will be my vacation houses. Nobody will be allowed to go there. And it's kind of just betting that real estate itself as an asset will go up. Wow, we're getting deep into this. Let me think, what else? Crypto, obviously, high risk, high reward. That's one of those assets where you kind of, you know, there's several ways to play it. I kind of play it on the riskier side where we're playing within altcoins and shit. But again, crypto is one of those assets that it has a high risk to reward. So you might want to allocate a little bit less of your overall asset portfolio towards it. But again, Bitcoin, I've said this, I think on like the second second vlog, where I said I think Bitcoin will be one of the best assets of our century, and I still think that is going to hold true. I think it's pretty smart for everybody to own some Bitcoin, because what other currency in the world are you able to travel over country lines and borders with like hundreds of millions of dollars worth just on like a USB, and nobody fucking knows? And you're probably thinking, well, that's the same thing with a bank account. No, it's not, because what happens if you want to transfer $100,000 or fuck it, $100 million from your US bank account to a bank account in Switzerland? You can't do that. Versus if you have Bitcoin and you sell Bitcoin and then transfer it into your Switzerland bank account, you can do that. And all that you need is a little fucking hardware wallet. So that's crypto. Let me think, what else? I think we covered pretty much all that shit. I mean, we talked about watches, we talked about fucking cars. Drop in the comments if I'm missing anything else, but I think I covered the majority of like pretty fucking solid assets. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up this video. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to bed. I wanted to get this little yap session in, give you guys some solid ass content. Trading transformations have been posted. I made 2 today. They're gonna keep coming up, okay? Don't get on my fucking ass. All right, boys. I appreciate y'all. Peace out.